on, everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with today's recap between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. And the Dolphins won the game by a final score of 20-12. And, I feel like I could speak for a lot of Jets fans when I say that this game was really, really frustrating to watch. It was just a hard watch. Seeing this Jets team constantly shooting themselves in the foot, right? Time and time and time again, making mistake after mistake after mistake. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that, the Jets should have won this game or we deserve to win this game, because in reality we did not. We didn't deserve to win this game at all. And to be honest with you, we shouldn't have won this game. The Miami Dolphins coaching staff prepared two great game plans, right? I felt like the Dolphins defense stepped up, but more importantly, the Dolphins offense was able to move the ball at will. And it's kind of funny because this Dolphins game plan going into this game, it was totally derived from a college college spread system. That's what it looked like, right? So the basic premise of it was to get their athletes in open field, right? Get their athletes in space, try to get them in one-on-one matchup against our defenders, and let their guys work. So they took that risk. They bet on their guys in one-on-one matchups, and they won. They were able to move the ball throwing. They were able to move the ball running. And Tannehill had a huge impact on this game, keeping it on like the read options and whatnot. So tough game to watch for sure. But I will say, even though it was extremely hard to watch, home opener, loss against a division rival, even though all that stuff went down, and that's just absolutely horrible, and the game was like pretty much a complete mess, there is a silver lining. There is a silver lining. The bright spot of the game is that even though the Jets made mistake after mistake after mistake, and so many players did not step up when their number was called, we only lost this game by one possession. Granted, it's 8 points, so we'd probably have to hit the 2-point conversion, but nonetheless, it's still a one possession loss. And that's something that the Jets can build off of. And I'm really hoping that the Jets kind of look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, we're not world beaters here. We have to continue to grind. We have to continue to work, and we can't take Cleveland lightly. Coming up on a short week Thursday Night Football, we can't forget about that. We can't hang our heads in this defeat. We have to move on to Cleveland, and they're coming off a loss too, and they're going to be hungry because they were close. They were close in today's matchup against the Saints in New Orleans. So Cleveland's going to be hungry. They're going to be at home. We can't hang our heads. So let's talk about the offense first, right? The New York Jets offense. I felt, and it was weird too, because when you look at the stats, right, and this is why I don't really like stats, but this is when you take a step back and you look at the numbers, the Jets offense looked pretty good, right? Darnold threw for a lot of yards, he had a lot of completions, and a lot of guys caught passes. Robbie Anderson had some passes, Quincy Enunwa, Terrell Pryor, right? A lot of guys got involved in today's game. But when you actually watch the game, you could tell that they were forced to do that. They were forced to throw the football because we were playing from behind all game. So that's where I felt like the first problem kind of arose for the New York Jets offense. We could not establish a run game. We could not control the ball. We couldn't control the time of possession. We just couldn't. Why? Because we couldn't win at the point of attack. Felt as though this offensive line. And it's weird, too, because looking at Detroit, that was actually one of our strengths. Why I thought the offense did a really nice job in last week's game was because they won at the point of attack. I just felt last week that the offensive line was just a little bit more vicious, a little bit more violent, and just played a little bit tougher last week than this week. I felt as though the Miami Dolphins defensive line wreaked havoc upon the Jets, really in the trenches, right? So we couldn't get the run game going. And that kind of shifts the offensive game plan into attack mode as far as passing the ball, right? Instead of it playing safe, playing balance, keeping the defense honest, now you're all of a sudden forced to throw the ball. Everybody kind of knows it's a pass. And, when you take a look at the Miami Dolphins, and you actually, let me backtrack. When you're shifted into that pass mode, right, where you kind of feel rushed, even though you still have a lot of time in the game, you still feel like there's a sense of urgency that needs to be, there with the offense. Whenever that feeling is there, and the Dolphins, and then you actually turn the ball over, then it just even gets intensified, right, or magnified, where you turn the ball over once, twice, 3 times. And then all of a sudden, it's just, the gas pedal is like pretty much floored in the car. And the offense is thinking, I feel like they have like a million things going through their head at once. And they just need to score points. And they need to do it fast because we're down by a lot of points. And we can't get a run game going. The offensive line is struggling. So it's just so many things going on. And You add that in with penalties as well. The false starts were crazy. The holding calls were bad. It was just tough, man. I felt like the New York Jets offense struggled when their number was called, right? When the play had to be made, the Jets offense could not do it. Whether it was Darnold taking a crucial sack, right? He took a bunch of crucial sacks that took us out of field position on one specific drive. He had the one interception in the back of the end zone coming off a strip sack by Jordan Jenkins, and I actually thought that was the turning point in favor of the New York Jets, right? We just went down and we scored, and then all of a sudden we get a turnover. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? With a lot of time left in the third quarter, we can easily get 2 touchdowns here and make this a game again. And then the first play, Donald just throws a boneheaded pick right in the back of the end zone. So it's something that's what happens. Am I pissed off that we lost? Of course. Am I pissed off that we can really keep the ball and we turned it over in crucial spots? Of course I'm pissed, but that's what comes with starting a rookie quarterback. I should say a 21-year-old rookie quarterback. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have interceptions. You're going to have boneheaded plays. You're going to have sacks. And that's just something that the Jets are going to have to live with, right? They made the decision to start with Sam, so you can't sit there and say, Sam Darnold, you can't sit there and expect Sam Darnold to have a season with 40 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. It's just unrealistic. Sam will throw interceptions. He was turnover prone at USC. He will take sacks. He took sacks at USC. Okay, that's just Darnold. And it's unfortunate, and I do hope that Sam is able to bounce back. And I am actually really confident in Darnold's ability to bounce back, right? He showed that trait a lot at USC, just the ability to have a bad game one week, be able to shake it off, right? And even if you want to shrink that a little bit, you can see that in the game. In the first quarter, he looked really, really shaky, right? Throwing the interception right to that right to the linebacker, just did not even. It just looked like Sam did not even see the linebacker, break off into that route. He just threw it right to him. So you see that Sam Darnold struggles early on, and then he has that ability to kind of shake it off, almost like you're, playing football in the backyard, right? It just doesn't look like that big of a deal to him, and it doesn't hamper in his mind, right? Like, oh, I can't turn the ball over here. I can't make it, I can't throw downfield. I can't throw it in tight windows. It just seems like he's a little loose, right? And take that how you want it, whether you like it or you don't. So I'll leave that there. So Sam Darnold, he threw a lot of yards, had some costly interceptions. Overall, this New York Jets offense, even though statistically it looked okay, I felt as though the plays weren't made at the right points in the game. We picked up some nice third and longs, which were pretty crucial, but it's just the taking the sacks and the false starts, the holdings, the drop passes, Robbie Anderson's fumble that was or not Robbie Anderson. Was it Robbie Anderson? I don't even remember at this point. I was just frustrated watching this game throughout it, just because it was just mistake after mistake after mistake. So moving on to the defensive side of the football, I thought the Jets defense looked okay in the first half, right? I thought we were looking good. We were picking up steam, even though the Dolphins scored 20 points in the first half. I felt like the Jets defense looked good. Especially in the first quarter, right? In the first quarter, I felt like they were kind of having everything in front of them, and they weren't going to get beat over the top, which is something I actually talked about in the preview video. Not getting beat deep by guys like Kenny Stills and stuff. And we actually got lucky at one point in the game when Tannehill had this guy wide open down the field, and he barely overthrew him. So that was actually a relief at that point. But anyway, back to the defensive side of the football. It was okay. I'm not going to sit here and say it was great. It wasn't horrible because we did have a lot of turnovers, right? We did turn the ball over a lot, so we gave Miami extra possessions to score the football, and the Dolphins went out there and pretty much just executed, right? So the defense I thought was okay. But one of the main problems I had with this defense was in the last drive of the game. The Miami Dolphins had the ball, and they were going downfield. We just needed to stop for one more heroic drive, right, for Sam and co. But we couldn't get a stop. And it was so blatantly obvious that the Miami Dolphins are just going to run the ball and waste the clock. But they were getting huge chunk runs. They were getting gain of 10, gain of 12, gain of 14, gain of 10. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, as the time is going down, Todd Bowles, Casey Rogers, what is going on? Miami is trying to get the Jets to call timeout. They're going to keep the ball on the ground. They're not going to be throwing it in this situation. They're already winning. They're just going to try to maybe play for a field goal and to really put the ball in the Jets' court, make us use our timeouts. and all of a sudden the Jets just could not stop the run. So the Dolphins just basically said, hey, I mean, we'll keep on running the ball, and if you guys keep wanting to play the pass, we'll just keep running it and wasting clock and picking up yards at the same time. So that was my only complaint with the defense. I thought we did manage to get some pressure after Tannehill, which I liked, but I felt as though where the Dolphins really hurt us was over the middle, right, with their smaller guys, and them just being able to convert on like these short little bubble screens and little out routes on like third and shorts. I felt like the Dolphins only had a few opportunities in the game where it was third and long, which bodes well in the favor of Miami. Because, again, that was something that we talked about in the preview video, where it was just we have to get Miami into third and long situations. We can't give them constantly third and threes, third and fours, third and twos, So, and that's where they were pretty much living the whole game. So the defense, I thought, played okay. I thought they could have played better without the turnovers, obviously, on offense. But nothing great, but they weren't horrible by any means. And so, yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on this game. I want to tip my cap to the Miami Dolphins coaching staff for coming up with a great offensive game plan, and then the defense of the Dolphins stepped up as well. So, I picked the Jets in this game. I was dead wrong, and we can't hang our heads. We have to just move on to Cleveland next week. Thursday Night Football. It's a short week, so we can't sit here and dwell on this loss. We have to move forward. And Cleveland, like I said before, will be hungry to get this win. So we have to move on to Cleveland, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section about this game, right? So what are your thoughts on the Jets? What are your thoughts on the Dolphins and the current state of affairs that the AFC East is, currently in? So with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.